Now at 9,000 shelter in place as Hurricane Milton makes landfall in Florida. Plus, we're going to hear from a Pittsburgh native now going to school in the area where the hurricane is hit. And we have advice from the experts on dealing with emotional exhaustion.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Hurricane Milton makes landfall in Florida. This is a live image from the Orlando area. Thousands of residents have evacuated their homes. Anyone who still remains faces the potential of extreme danger from wind, flying debris, and flooding. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Dow Quick. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty for a first look at the weather.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a warm one for us today. Temperatures 12 degrees above where we should be for this time of the year. 85 was our high. Started at 48. Average high is 73 degrees. Temps right now mainly mid to upper 60s to near 70. It's not going to be as chilly as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. Pretty much clear skies, but everybody has been watching down in Florida as Hurricane Milton made landfall this evening. Our time, roughly about 7 p.m. You can see it rolling across the peninsula of Florida, now pushing through central Florida. They've had winds gusting 100 upwards to about 110 miles per hour. Even a few locations are a little bit closer to 115. Very heavy amounts of rain. And of course, this is the second hurricane they've dealt with over the past 2 weeks. We are going to see some changes as well. We're going to look at that here in just a bit.
Doug, thanks. The time to evacuate obviously is now past, and the expert advice to anyone riding out the storm is stay alive and good luck. Lee Waldman is in Tampa, Florida with details.
This is it, folks. It'll keep picking up hour after hour. You will be on your own.
Other state officials echoing the same ominous tone.
When you figure it out, like, hey, I shouldn't be here. Hey, I need help, and help's not coming.
It's going to take us hours, if not days, to be able to come to you.
Final calls for preparations and evacuations have now switched to shelter in place and try to stay alive.
Make sure you have a life preserver handy. Make sure that you have plenty of supplies with you because you may be stuck in your home.
Milton's winds are whipping up tornadoes. Florida has already experienced the most tornado warnings in a day on record. One family in Fort Myers was inside their house when a tornado ripped through their neighborhood.
Kid wife come look at it, started to get close, hit the trees, and we all started going for the hallway. Didn't even make it there in time. Started doop doop, and I heard a piece of glass crack and it sucked the whole roof off, and I felt the thing suck me up, and I grabbed my kid and my wife and hunkered down.
Despite the catastrophic forecasts, some storm veterans are staying put on barrier islands.
We certainly fear the storms and the hurricanes. We just choose to ride it out.
As the evening hours approach, the wait begins for what's on the other side.
Godspeed to all of us that are in the path of this storm.
In Tampa, Florida, I'm Lee Waldman reporting.
The Milton slammed into a Florida region still reeling from Hurricane Helene, which caused heavy damage to beach communities with storm surge and killed a dozen people in Seaside, Pinellas County alone. The impacts of Hurricane Milton are already being felt by some residents in the 4 states. KOAM Samantha Walker sat down with 2 Pittsburgh natives who experienced the storm evacuations firsthand.
So it was kind of surreal. You could see panic hitting Monday, and we were just ready to get out of there.
Maddie Burdick, a Pittsburgh native, loves playing college softball in Daytona Beach. When Hurricane Helene hit, she was allowed to shelter in her dorm. But as Hurricane Milton nears, it became obvious that wasn't an option for her.
But Milton, it just kept getting worse, and we were just thinking of how we were going to evacuate when it was possible just because of classes and everything like that. So it was a little more stressful just trying to figure out plans and everything like that because it started to look even worse as it went on.
Her mom, Jennifer, was visiting when news of the hurricane broke.
The weather just completely shifted, and it got really windy, and the tide started coming, and it almost looked like the ocean was a little angry.
Yeah.
So we went back to our hotel, and we had already been watching the weather, but we realized, okay, this is probably, like, it's time to we went ahead and booked her ticket.
As they tried to leave the area, they saw how others were preparing for the hurricane. Many of those staying purchased generators and boarded up their homes. Others tried to move as far from the storm's projected path as possible.
Traffic was already really, really backing up. And gas prices, in a matter of 3 hours, gas prices went from like $2.60 something to $3.15, and you could just see the lines of vehicles lining up for gas.
Jennifer and Maddie say they're grateful to have made it out of the area when they did, and are thinking about those near the coast.
I have a couple of friends and teammates that are still in Fort Myers. Like, we have Fort Myers and then some are in Orlando, so it's just kind of like praying for them as well.
Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Maddie says she isn't sure when her college classes will resume, but she has a ticket to return to Daytona Beach on Monday night. Coming up, a study looks at how effective AI is in providing medical advice. Being an adult isn't always easy. Odds are you're juggling more than one thing at a time, and it might all feel overwhelming or have you wondering what else you can endure. Well, Mandy Gaither explains the emotional impact exhaustion can have and has ways to overcome it.
You may be a caretaker or parent, have a high-pressure job, or grieving a loss. Maybe it's all of the above. Sometimes life can leave you feeling drained.
The impact is quite large, both emotionally and also physically.
Dr. Denise Milstein with Mayo Clinic says emotional exhaustion is when your feelings become overwhelming. It can lead to symptoms like anxiety, irritability, and lack of focus. There can also be physical symptoms like fatigue, headaches, and lack of appetite.
I think one of the difficulties with emotional exhaustion is that it's not exactly a clinical diagnosis that would be captured in an office visit, for example.
That's why Milstein says it's important to stay aware of your feelings and address them. Eat a healthy, balanced diet. It's the core of well-being. Get regular exercise. Identify unhelpful thoughts such as you're not good at something, then replace them with balanced thoughts.
See if it's actually the reality or something you were just conditioned to believe early on and have never stopped to re-examine.
Finally, she says to find a method for stress management that's right for you.
These can include apps or books, journaling, or going to group sessions or therapy. The important thing is that you do something and you do it with intention.
Dr. Milstein says that emotional exhaustion tends to make people less efficient, less productive, and less present in their work environments. So she says to remember that it can have an impact on many different aspects of life. ChatGPT tends to overprescribe care when used for medical advice. That's according to a study by UC San Francisco, which found that the AI program suggests unneeded x-rays and antibiotics for patients and admits people in the hospital who don't need to be hospitalized. Researchers say while the AI could be improved, it's still no match for a human doctor. Self-help apps can help young people with depression. A study by the University of Exeter found patients who use such apps reported a better quality of life and functioned better socially. The findings suggest these apps could be a good, low-cost option for young people dealing with anxiety and with depression. And access to parks and other green spaces improves your physical and mental health, but not everyone has equal access. A study in Japan found many governments treat green spaces as a low priority issue. People in low-income areas in particular need greater access to parks and outdoor areas. Researchers are continuing to study the impact of green spaces on health. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later, more than a dozen state attorneys general file suit against TikTok. We're going to tell you why in just a bit.
Culture and Spiva Center for the Arts.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a nice one for us today. Plenty of sunshine, a little warm temperatures, mid-80s during the afternoon, but all of the eyeballs have been really watching the southeastern parts of the U.S. Hurricane Milton made landfall tonight, our second hurricane that we have seen in the past 2 weeks in the southeastern parts of the U.S. Helene went north. This one has been moving east, but made landfall just south of Tampa Bay near Sarasota, and then also Venice, Florida, moving right across the peninsula of Florida. A lot of tornadoes earlier today. There was over 100 tornado warnings issued from the National Weather Service in Miami. Those squalls have pushed out to sea, and now this is rolling through the central part of the state. So, of course, they're going to be dealing with this mess as they go through the next several days, and then it's going to push out into the Atlantic Ocean and head away from Florida, thankfully. But still, it's going to be a low-grade hurricane as it pushes across the state, and then eventually it will be downgraded to a tropical storm as we go into Thursday afternoon and keep working away from the lower 48, and that's where we want Milton to go. Back here at home, temperature is pretty good. Upper 60s to near 70 degrees across the region. We can go outside, pretty much clear skies. Not a whole bunch is going on here. We've been very calm. We need the rain, obviously. We just don't have a lot of rain in the forecast as we go through the next several days. In fact, looking out toward the west, no big storm systems. Now, we do have one little tiny, little upper level wave. Look at the winds. You see this little kink near Omaha? This will slide in as we get into late tonight and also on Thursday morning. The end result for us, we're going to get some clouds. We may get a random shower or two. Better chances would be on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side. Here's 6 o'clock in the morning. Couple random showers pushing east. Most of us just see clouds, but our temperatures, they warm right back up. Mid-80s for afternoon highs. Very close to what we saw today. Maybe even a notch or two warmer. We're going to drop back mid-50s to start the day on Friday. Then once we get into Friday afternoon, even warmer. 87, 88, 89 degrees. So it really heats up once we get into Friday afternoon. 55 to start, 79 by noon. High temp, 86 degrees. But we do have some changes. Let me show you. We're looking upstairs in the atmosphere. So this is where our energy is. Look at this system driving into the Great Lakes. This is going to drag in a pretty strong cold front by the time we head into the second half of the weekend. So Saturday ahead of it, near record highs. Behind it, we really start to cool down as we head into Sunday and Monday. Unfortunately, not a whole bunch of rain chances over the next 10 days. 86 Thursday, 87 on Friday, 90 Saturday. 79 on Sunday, and look at this, a high temp of 66 Monday, down into the 40s for overnight lows. Dow?
Doug, thanks. Coming up, it might be warm outside, but some of the world's best ice carvers turn 2 million pounds of ice into some cool works of art.
KOAM Roadshow at the Columbus State Few Good Men, opening October 18th.
14 state attorneys general are suing TikTok. They allege the app harms children's mental health by using addictive features to keep kids glued to the platform, pointing out that some young people were harmed or even died due to viral challenges. In a statement, a TikTok spokesperson called the claims, quote, inaccurate and misleading, and said the company is deeply committed to the work they've done to protect teens. JetBlue is dropping hot meals for coach passengers on transatlantic flights. Instead, the air carrier will serve cold menu options in collaboration with salad and healthy food company Dig. JetBlue offers daily transatlantic flights between the U.S. and 5 European cities. And an original stormtrooper helmet from the 1977 Star Wars film A New Hope is expected to fetch up to $625,000 at prop store auction in the UK next month. The helmet is specifically known as a Sand Trooper helmet and is from the iconic "These Are Not the Droids You're Looking For" scene. Other items up for auction include this helmet from the 2000 Russell Crowe film Gladiator and this ghost face mask signed by Henry Winkler, the actor who wore it in the film Scream. Still feels like summer in Texas, but a winter wonderland is in the making inside one Dallas area resort. Some of the world's best ice carvers are turning 2 million pounds of ice into a spectacular holiday display at the Gaylord Texan Hotel and Resort. As Nicole Nielsen reports, each year the ice carvers travel thousands of miles to Texas to help the hotel get ready for the holidays.
smiles, and cheers, as about 40 of some of the world's best ice carvers arrived in Grapevine.
The gentlemen who joined us today are part of a long tradition of ice carvers. Many of their fathers and grandfathers were also in this very unique career.
Each year, they're given a warm Texas welcome as they prepare to carve 2 million pounds of ice. This year's theme is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, where scenes from the story, some 30 feet tall, will be all hand-carved. And as soon as the artisans arrived, they got straight to work.
They do work in shifts, so that way not everybody's working a super long day, but they're in here till, morning to evening in their shifts, working for over 30 days to get this done.
Harbin is known as the ice carving capital of the world. And to understand more about their culture, some of the Gaylord Texan staff even spent time in Harbin this year to see firsthand the artistry carvers bring to Grapevine.
I went with a couple of my colleagues to northern China. We spent time with a lot of the artisans we greeted today in their hometown, really seeing what they do. There in Harbin, they carve the ice directly out of the frozen river, which runs through the middle of their town, and then they carve out of those frozen ice blocks.
None of the artisans speak English, but we did speak through a translator. They say there's something magical about what it's like bringing a piece of China here to Texas.
All the ice they build is all outdoor and then very big, like a big building. And then so when they bring the ice show here, it's more like a detail and the focus on the story.
And so the next 30 days of carving begins before you can come see their work for yourself on November 15th.
And if you thought that was cool, well, we have a super sweet idea to help celebrate tomorrow. That story's coming up. Dessert dating back for centuries is being celebrated with a modern twist. Tomorrow is National Cake Decorating Day, as decided by whoever it is that decides that sort of thing. Decorated cakes carry out the theme for many of life's key celebrations, of course, from birthdays to weddings and more. Whether it's using icing or buttercream, meringue, or fondant, cake decorators have many ways to express their edible art. Use the hashtag National Cake Decorating Day on social media. Give a shout out to your favorite cake decorator or to post favorite designs or memories of past cakes. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Investigators reveal the timeline of events on the night of a fatal hit and run in Cherokee County. Plus, a candidate for U.S. Senate makes a stop in southwest Missouri.
You're watching the 4 States Most Watched News.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Dow Quick. Northeast Oklahoma authorities are investigating the discovery of a body. The Ottawa County Sheriff's Office confirms the discovery of a man's body near 22nd Northeast at the Tar Creek Bridge. The Grand River Dam Authority has requested assistance from the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation at what they call a suspicion death crime scene. The Miami Police Department is also working that case. Unsealed court documents reveal a more clear timeline of the hit-and-run fatality that happened back in August in Cherokee County, Kansas. Rocco Joseph of Joplin is charged with felony leaving the scene of a fatal crash where a pedestrian, 60-year-old Gary LaTurner of Galena, was killed. Joseph's father, Dr. John H. Joseph, is charged with leaving the scene of a fatality accident and contributing to a child's misconduct of deprivations. Kansas Highway Patrol obtained search warrants for the cell phones of Joseph and his father. The GPS locations, compared with multiple security cameras, put the son at the scene of the fatal crash, meeting with his father in Missouri, and them both returning together to observe the Kansas crash scene 40 minutes later. LaTurner's body was found in the south ditch of K66 10 hours after the crash. We have more on the history of this case as well as extensive court documents on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. While residents of Florida are dealing with Hurricane Milton, people are still recovering from the damage of Helene. Workers with the Carthage Water and Electric Plant traveled to Tallahassee to respond to the damage from Helene. KOAM's Melissa Alexis has more.
These folks are boots on the ground, immediately responding to the emergency.
Linemen from Carthage Water and Electric Plant in Carthage traveled to Tallahassee before Hurricane Helene hit
in anticipation of the damage.
A lot of tall, 80, 100-foot tall pine trees that are down. Obviously, they drag everything down with them.
The linemen's main focus was to help Tallahassee residents regain power.
Through the night, you hear the wind and the rain. You know, you do hear that some. You're a little bit sheltered just because of the hotel you're in or wherever it is you're staying. And then when we woke up the next morning, we had 53,000 people out of power.
CWEP sent 6 linemen to Tallahassee to help out with Helene, and now they have 4 linemen in Orlando to help with Hurricane Milton.
It takes a lot of time for the water in Orlando to dissipate to get to a point where they can actually go in and make some of the needed repairs.
Be devastating. Milton looks like it is. It could turn. It just kind of depends on, so they're afraid of water, they're afraid of wind and trees.
Crews from Carthage Water and Electric Plant worked 16-hour days working to restore power to the affected areas. Reporting in Carthage, Melissa Alexis, KOAM News.
Members of the Carthage Water and Electric Plant crew left Missouri on Monday to go to Orlando and respond to Hurricane Milton. Some Cherokee County groups team up to assist people in need of low-income housing. The Cherokee County Health Department and the USDA Rural Development Program will host an event next Tuesday on how to fill out applications for Section 502 and 504 housing. Event organizers hope to also provide information on the financial impacts of low-income housing and on low-income energy assistance.
Whether is this going to make my house value go up, or how is this going to make my insurance maybe go up or down since it's more safe? That way then maybe their cost of their insurance may be lowered, various different things like that. And also, we're also going to have another individual there that will help out with LEAP, so the local or low-income energy assistance program as well.
The event's going to be held at the Crossroads Christian Church on October 15th at 2 p.m. Last month, we told you about 13-year-old Joplin teen Drake May and the art club he helped create for other kids. Well, today, Drake and members of the art club took a field trip to the Joplin Humane Society. The group got to see how the JHS operates, where the animals stay, and found out how to volunteer.
That the kids that are in art club take away that they can make a difference in the community, and that people who are needing a pet could come in and pick one that still needs a forever home, and they're really taken care of here. You know, they get all their vaccinations and they're microchipped, they're spay and neutered, so they're just ready for you to take them home and love them.
The trip comes as a follow-up to last week's class where the kids practiced pet portraits. A candidate for the U.S. Senate made a stop in southwest Missouri tonight. Lucas Kuntz hosted a rally at VFW Post 534 in Joplin. The 13-year Marine veteran is running for the Senate seat currently held by Josh Hawley. At the event tonight, Kuntz talked about his platform of running for everyday Missourians.
The biggest thing on me in this campaign is that the only people I want to owe are everyday Missourians like those in that old neighborhood. So I take no money from corporate PACs, no money from federal lobbyists, no money from big pharma executives, none of these people who've been buying off our, weak-minded, ambitious, hungry politicians and using them to strip our communities for parts.
After 3 deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan, Lucas was stationed at the Pentagon, where he served with the Joint Staff. A bit later, it's tournament time on the diamond for the Lady War Dogs. John Dales has the latest from the Super Regionals in Oklahoma coming up in sports.
When the Ozark Hills
Well, of course, it turned out to be a nice one for us today. Plenty of sunshine, a little warm temperatures, mid-80s during the afternoon, but all of the eyeballs have been really watching the southeastern parts of the U.S. Hurricane Milton made landfall tonight, our second hurricane that we have seen in the past 2 weeks in the southeastern parts of the U.S. Helene went north. This one has been moving east, but made landfall just south of Tampa Bay near Sarasota, and then also Venice, Florida, moving right across the peninsula of Florida. A lot of tornadoes earlier today. There was over 100 tornado warnings issued from the National Weather Service in Miami. Those squalls have pushed out to sea, and now this is rolling through the central part of the state. So, of course, they're going to be dealing with this mess as they go through the next several days, and then it's going to push out into the Atlantic Ocean and head away from Florida, thankfully. But still, it's going to be a low-grade hurricane as it pushes across the state, and then eventually it will be downgraded to a tropical storm as we go into Thursday afternoon and keep working away from the lower 48, and that's where we want Milton to go. Back here at home, temperature is pretty good. Mid, upper 60s to near 70 degrees across the region. We can go outside, pretty much clear skies. Not a whole bunch is going on here. We've been very calm. We need the rain, obviously. We just don't have a lot of rain in the forecast as we go through the next several days. In fact, looking out toward the west, no big storm systems. Now, we do have one little tiny, little upper level wave. Look at the winds. You see this little kink near Omaha? This will slide in as we get into late tonight and also on Thursday morning. The end result for us, we're going to get some clouds. We may get a random shower or two. Better chances would be on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side. Here's 6 o'clock in the morning. Couple random showers pushing east. Most of us just see clouds, but our temperatures, they warm right back up. Mid 80s for afternoon highs. Very close to what we saw today. Maybe even a notch or two warmer. We're going to drop back mid 50s to start the day on Friday. Then once we get into Friday afternoon, even warmer. 87, 88, 89 degrees. So it really heats up once we get into Friday afternoon. 55 to start, 79 by noon. High temp, 86 degrees. But we do have some changes. Let me show you. We're looking upstairs in the atmosphere. So this is where our energy is. Look at this system driving into the Great Lakes. This is going to drag in a pretty strong cold front by the time we head into the second half of the weekend. So Saturday ahead of it, near record highs. Behind it, we really start to cool down as we head into Sunday and Monday. Unfortunately, not a whole bunch of rain chances over the next 10 days. 86 Thursday, 87 on Friday, 90 Saturday. 79 on Sunday, and look at this, a high temp of 66 Monday down into the 40s for overnight lows. Dow?
Doug, thanks. Coming up in sports, Miami High School softball faces Wagner in a super regional playoff series. Plus, the Gorillas and Lions are a month away from beginning their basketball season. John Dales has those stories and more coming up next.
Well, Miami High School softball has a chance to punch its ticket to the Class 4A state tournament. After the Lady War Dogs won their regional at home last week, they advanced to Super Regionals today. It's a best-of-3 series at Wagner. Lady War Dogs lost the first game 6-4. Then, with their backs against the wall, they win the second end of the doubleheader 3-2. That forces a winner-take-all Game 3 tomorrow afternoon between the Lady War Dogs and Lady Bulldogs. First pitch scheduled for noon. Winner goes on to the state tournament. Well, a month from today, all 4 of our local Division II college basketball teams will have begun their season. Yesterday, we heard from the head coaches at MIAA Media Day. Now let's turn to the players, and we start with the floor general for the Gorillas men's team.
This year, our main focus is getting back to that conference championship. We ended up as runner-ups, but we really do want that back. So we just been sitting here working, trying to get back to that, then hopefully get us a higher seed in the national tournament to be able to maybe host the tournament. Coach is looking at me to be more of a on-the-court leader than I was last year. We had the seniors. I was learning through them, but this year he wanted me to step into the leadership roles.
Missouri Southern men's basketball has almost an entirely new team. The Lions bring in 9 freshmen and transfers, and they return just 2 players that started multiple games.
We've been really emphasizing defense this year. I think that's going to be a major part for us this year. We're a lot longer this year, taller, stronger, so it should help us get a lot more wins.
Yeah, the team chemistry. It's a really fun group to be around, from the top to bottom. Everybody gets along, outside the locker room, inside the locker room. So just staying together, building that bond, building that chemistry is one of the biggest things right now.
Missouri Southern women's basketball also has quite a few fresh faces, but the Lions do bring back multiple starters from a group that won 20 games a year ago.
I think we just have to be able to finish games. I think that's something we struggled with last year. We weren't able to finish some games that we really needed, especially at the end of conference play. That kind of bumped our seeding down for the tournament and put us in a hard spot where it was win or go home, and we went home.
It's just continuously, like in practice, building that connection, just because we do have half transfers, half returners, which is nice, but I think it's just building from there and getting that team chemistry and moving forward.
And last but certainly not least, Pittsburgh State women's basketball won the MIAA tournament for the first time ever this past March. The Gorillas return a lot of impact players from that team.
And it's just great to return people who you've played with and who you've been at the lowest of lows with, and obviously the highest of highs too. And so like when you share those moments with people, it just creates a special bond, and you can clearly see that like when we play together on the court. Again, I think it's just everyday attitude, showing up, willing to work, never getting complacent, never, just putting it in cruise, just always foot on the gas, ready to work every day.
Closing things out with Major League Baseball, Game 3 of the American League Division Series between the Yankees and Royals tonight. New York takes it 3-2. Yankees take the lead off a solo home run from Giancarlo Stanton the top of the 8th inning, and the Royals now have an elimination game tomorrow night. Just like that, Royals got their backs against the wall. They got to beat the Yankees twice in the next 2 games.
You mentioned that earlier that whoever wins this game is going to really have a big advantage as far as the pressure.
Yeah.
And now the Royals are feeling it. We'll be right back. A Phoenix, Arizona teen is being recognized for her work in helping hundreds of dogs. She's founded a nonprofit to help raise money for dog booties to donate to unhoused pet owners. Cameron Pullum has more on her mission.
Living life on the streets can certainly be lonely, but for Cindy, it's made a little easier with Ruby by her side.
She means the world to me. She's my emotional support animal. She's my baby. She's everything to me.
This summer, survival for them both has depended on finding shade, but when they are on the move, Cindy's mind goes to Ruby's feet.
I'm very concerned because the concrete out here is too hot for dogs to walk.
Would you like some dog boots for your dog?
Today, she got a visit from a 15-year-old on a mission to ease those concerns.
Can we get them fitted for dog boots?
Over the past several months, Jordan Sakato has delivered hundreds of pairs of dog booties to homeless pet owners here in the Valley.
I mean, it's their family. It's who they surround themselves with 24 hours a day.
Through her nonprofit, Laws for Paws, Jordan raised over $10,000 this year in donations to help purchase the protection pet paws need during this record-breaking heat.
They're mesh. They have a hard rubber bottom to protect the dogs from the ground.
Her mom, Courtney, has watched as her daughter has given them away at events for the homeless and on the city streets.
They literally go from thinking that they're going to be judged to just being so grateful, and you can just see their whole expression change. Please bring her and they can get you medical help.
A change that, like today, can lead to other requests for help.
We'll be able to get you food, treats.
And the pair are ready to provide it.
I think that when people see that we are someone there to help them, they go, okay, well, we also have a vet issue, so what can you do to help us with that?
Her work recently winning her the title of a hero to animals from PETA, a recognition she's certainly honored to carry, but driven even more by words like these.
Teenagers today, if we have more of them, of like this girl that's doing the booties, this world would be a better place.
Coming up, film restoration experts put their skills to the test as they digitize a century-old film series with a familiar face. Fans of Sherlock Holmes are in for a treat as restoration experts have pieced together a 100-year-old silent mystery. It's the last work of its kind to be digitally transformed. Tina Kraus has that story from London.
Shanks has had her hands on loads of classic films over the years from the stacks of archives at the British Film Institute. But inspecting the latest reel has taken some true detective work.
Sherlock has been the most challenging restoration I've worked on, mainly because of the scale.
She's part of a conservation team reviving Sherlock Holmes, restoring a century-old silent film series following the adventures of the famous fictional detective.
And they're the last
silent Sherlock-related works to be restored. All of the other surviving ones have already been done.
Experts are transforming 20 hours of footage with Sherlockian methods, given its age.
A lot of films over the years have decomposed into powdery, sticky, solid messes, and despite all the damage, it is in pretty good condition.
You know, most of what restoration is...
Ben Thompson is in charge of image quality.
So this is the section just before Waterloo Station.
Digitally erasing marks from decades of wear and tear and using software to match the original filmmaker's use of color.
I probably spent 3 days on it. One shot. 10 seconds.
A meticulous task that proves there's nothing elementary about bringing Sherlock Holmes back to life.
That restored film series, being called Silent Sherlock, 3 Classic Cases, will be screened at the London Film Festival next week. And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of 2 panda cubs at the Berlin Zoo opening their eyes for the very first time. Let's make it a great tomorrow.